Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the greatest just for putting up with me. Now, listen, I need to rant today. Is it me or does the Goncalves family need to stay off the air? Okay, I hate to be the one to say it, but are they getting paid for these interviews all over the place? There's a gag order in place. Nobody cares. Just say what you want, whenever you want. Talk about the case. Gag orders mean nothing. Okay, the judge said he was going to keep the gag order in place to a certain degree, but they still don't want you talking about the case. Well, every other week or every other day when I wake up, there's some more new interview by somebody in this family. I don't understand why. Okay, are they being paid for these? I don't hear a peep out of the Chapin family, the Morgan family. I don't hear anything from the Funk family or the Mortensen family. I don't hear anything from the Kernodle family. But every time I turn on the TV, one of the Goncalves is making some kind of interview speech. I just think that we need to talk about this. All right? Just grab the coffee or the tea. Okay, I'm a little irritated. Maybe I need to make some coffee or tea. All right? Let's begin our story. I really don't mean to attack the victims' families, but listen, I have to say it. The Goncalves family is popping up all over the place with interviews. They're supposed to be under gag order. It means absolutely nothing. Okay? And that's fine because everybody else is speaking on the case, so why not them? But here's the problem. First of all, why would you push the MPD narrative, about some Wi-Fi being connected to Brian Koberger when you know that's not true? You know it. The university barely had Wi-Fi that night. Okay? And second of all, don't you have to have password to get on somebody's Wi-Fi? And third of all, this guy went through all the trouble to turn his phone off between 3 and 5, but he's willing to come within the vicinity of the murder house and connect to their Wi-Fi if he even had the code. It just makes absolutely no sense. And why are the Goncalves pushing these narratives they know they're not true? Okay? Mr. G said in the beginning, I don't see a connection. He's also said, we want to get the right person. I hope they have the right person. He's made all these statements, and yet here's all of these, the latest, interviews saying things that are pushing the narrative of Moscow PD. And then here's the bonus question of all questions. How are you gearing up to sue the city of Moscow or the state of Idaho when you run around pushing their narrative? You can't get on TV and say, I hope you have the right person. My daughter suffered a wrongful death. What's going on here? You don't know who did it. And then in the next breath, you're on TV talking about the suspect they have in custody. He kind of sort of connected to the Wi-Fi. Get out of here. All right. I expect these people to be grieving, laying low, waiting for the process to see what really happened in that house and who really did it. To be somewhere praying that all of the killers, whoever they may be, are arrested and brought to justice. Simple as that. All the rest of it is extra unless you're getting paid to do it. All the rest of this talking is extra. Well, they say if you have enough cheese, you can turn anybody into a rat. And guess who has the cheese in Moscow? Cpl Dean. According to the annual reports for Moscow from 2020 to 2022, Corporal Dean is the one with the cheese. All right? I've got so many reports in my email about Emma Bailey, Demetrius, 1122 being a drug house, Madison flushing 200 and some $1,000 worth of drugs down the toilet. I got it all in my email. But if you read these reports from the Moscow Police Department, regardless of what was being sold in Moscow, the drug dealers are in Pullman. Okay, let's read this here. It says, one example of Corporal Dean's collaboration involving partnering with the ATF in the summer of 2019, Corporal Dean began working regularly with agents from the ATF Spokane office. Their investigations continued into 2020 and yielded a federal search warrant in Latah County that resulted in the seizure of over 20 grams of meth and a firearm. In Spokane, a subsequent ATF warrant executed in the fall of 2020 was based on information provided by one of Corporal Dean's informants, resulting in the seizure of 15 firearms and about a pound of heroin from a drug dealer who was supplying the Moscow and Latah County areas. The drug dealer is a Pullman, okay? And they seized firearms. It doesn't say anything about K-bar knives or machetes because drug dealers use guns. Okay, let's keep reading. In late 2020, the ATF initiated an investigation into a Spokane area drug dealer utilizing information from confidential informants developed in Moscow, Idaho by Corporal Dean. Okay, the informants in Moscow are reporting on activity in Pullman, and this drug dealer who's big enough for the ATF to become involved is in Pullman. So regardless of how many drugs may have been coming from 1122 King Road, the suppliers are in Pullman, not Moscow. We should be looking at WSU, okay, for that end of the research. Corporal Dean has the informants. The ATF has been investigating drug activity in the area and guns, but from Pullman. This is another excerpt from the police annual report. It says, Corporal Dean's collaboration with several different agencies helped keep dangerous narcotics and firearms off our streets and out of our community. In an ongoing ATF investigation from 2019, in which Detective Dean was involved, more than 40, remember he went from Moscow police to the sheriff's department. More than 40 additional weapons were confiscated in 2021. After establishing vital networking relationships with confidential informants in the area, multiple confidential informants bought in approximately 5 local dealers by assisting other local agencies with drug investigations. The drugs primarily purchased during controlled buys were methamphetamine, heroin, or fentanyl pills, or a combination of the three. Important to note, new laws in Washington hindered some confidential informant cultivation. So according to some laws in Washington, they couldn't really, develop the informants like they could in Moscow.